Good afternoon and welcome to The Hope Show. I'm your host, Jim Raffone. This show is inspired by James E. Raffone and powered by Adapting Social. And today, this episode is brought to you by All American Ford and Kelly Title. Today, I've got Derek Kelly with me and John Marinaro. Derek is the owner of Kelly Title Insurance, and John works with Absolute Home Mortgage. And guys, it's a pleasure to have both of you here to give you this opportunity to talk about your industry and what's going on in this industry today.
Thanks for having us.
It's my pleasure.
Thanks, Jim. We're happy to be here, sitting on this couch with you. That's for sure.
Great.
So
This is great. So these guys have both been a supporter of Jar of Hope for over the years, and so today we're just sitting down talking about what exactly is title insurance and how does it affect the mortgage, right? So who is the one that kicks off title insurance, or how does title insurance get involved in the home buying process?
So typically, if it's a home purchase, typically the attorney will order title, but there's also parts of New Jersey where they don't use an attorney. So the real estate agent or the lender can send us the contract and kind of kick off the process of starting the search work. But typically, it's the attorney. Most of the state, except for South Jersey, uses they don't typically use attorneys, but everywhere else they use attorneys, and the attorneys send us the order, and we kick off the search work from there.
yeah, I think from our end, one of the things we like to say is get in touch with a title company you could trust, somebody that's going to be in the transaction, great service, there every step of the way. That way there's no delays on closing, because we've dealt with title companies in the past where you can't get people on the phone, people are in hiding, and next thing you know, and people are looking at us because they're not really talking to you, the client. So I'm getting phone calls like, why aren't we closing, I'm like, there's crap going on with this title company right now, but we can't solve it. So using Derek and having him as a resource has always been valuable for our team for sure. So it's always, to me, it's like aligning that team together to make sure it's a nice, smooth process for these clients.
So let's talk to the first-time home buyers out there, right? Now, I remember 26 years ago when I bought my first house, I always went to the realtor. We always found the realtor first. And then we felt that the realtor, my wife and I, was the quarterback for everybody else. Is that the case? Or what should a first-time home buyer do? Like, what kind of checklist should they put together?
Yeah,
Really, technically, they should. But
We're always trying to get them to call us first, but the realtors have the key to the house, and that's what you're looking to buy, right? So you're going to usually end up with an agent first, and then at that point, it's the referral process where, again, trying to get people that are going to work together and, give people good information. So usually it'll maybe go agent, mortgage, and then get Derek involved once the home is found.
Puzzle. An ideal world, I think agents would agree, because a lot of them, get their time wasted by buyers who don't go see somebody like John first, get pre-approved, so at least then they know their budget. I see it a lot. I'm sure he sees it a lot as well. So they'll go to the agent and say, Mr. Agent, we want to look at homes between $1 million and 1 point, whatever the number is.
Right.
And then they refer them to John to get pre-approved, and they realize, well, all those homes you just went and looked at, you can't afford.
That's when it gets real.
You can't afford them. So
it's like, all right.
In an ideal world, I think it's, if you're building a timeline or time frame of how a deal should work, I think they should be pre-approved first, because then they're not wasting people's times. But in today's world, that typically doesn't happen. They're going to the agent first. Hey, Mr. Agent, and then the agent refers out lender, attorney, title. So that's why the paradigm has shifted. I feel like the realtors really do quarterback the deals and have a lot of control over them in today's world.
Right, but I kind of see what you're saying. Your knee-jerk reaction was to see the mortgage guy first, because he's really the financial advisor through this whole thing, right?
Yeah, we've crushed a lot of dreams along the way, as much as making dreams happen, because again, I want to buy that $1 million house. I'm going to put down 20%. Now you start talking about giving somebody an $800,000 mortgage where the taxes are $15,000. You tell them that monthly payment, and then all of a sudden, dead silence.
Yeah.
And I'm like, either somebody passed out or somebody has literally like, holy crap, I'm in a bad spot, I can't do this. And that's like that dose of medicine for reality, which is important, because at the end of the day, these people need a payment that they can afford more than that, home that they see online that they think they can afford. And, once we start going through the nuts and bolts of it, either hey, great news, you can do it, or great news, let's shift this around a little bit. You need a little bit more money down. You're going to need to either find another area or, look a little bit cheaper price point. But, everybody right now is obviously stretched to the max on their budgets. And, a combination of just living in New Jersey, interest rates being a little bit higher, I think, than what people would love to see. And the price of these homes, which is, as far as I could tell, is not coming down anytime soon. And that, once you start putting all those pieces to the puzzle together, now at least you have a confident buyer that knows their numbers, goes out with that agent, finds the home, and it just makes the process a lot more smoother and easier once they got all their financials in order.
Right. So that makes a lot of sense what you're saying, because if you're going to look to buy $1 million house with $200,000 down, right? Let's just break down simple numbers. At 7%, you're talking $5,600 a month.
Yeah, you're right in that ballpark.
Right.
Yeah, and that's, it doesn't include your taxes, your homeowners, and
that's what people forget, or
other
they don't
closing
realize.
costs. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that they're not realizing. And I say we're only a small piece of the puzzle, too. I'm only looking at a credit report that may have a couple car payments, a little bit of credit card debt. We didn't get into account of, like, just living, right? Whether you got kids for daycare, you got colleges, you got your entertainment dollar, going out for dinners. Once you start putting that in perspective, and that's what we try to do. So we don't get paid to advise, but we do a lot of advising on our side of the fence, because that's, the education part is a big part of the process. And after 20 years of doing this, you realize now you got to say a lot more than I probably did when I first started in this business. Now I'm like, all right, guys, let's lay all the cards on the table. Let's make sure things are good and give real people a good sense of the whole sense of what they're getting into as far as just buying this house.
Right.
And, even as something as simple as credit cards. I'll get people still to this day, 28 years old, 30 years old, will run their credit, and there's just nothing on their credit report. There's nothing there other than the tuxedo they bought in high school that they defaulted on as a collection account, or a Verizon that they switched cell phones, they got collection accounts.
Yeah.
We're educating them on credit, just to help them with credit too. A lot of stuff that people don't realize that goes on behind the scenes for us too.
Right. So as a young first-time home buyer, it's important to at least open up a credit card and make sure they don't use, 50% of the debt that's on the card?
I usually tell people, keep it to 25%.
Yeah.
So you get a $1,000 credit card, you really don't want that balance going above $250, and just do your ratios, according to what that limit is. But, you get a $5,000 credit card, you max that out every month, and you could be paying it on time every month. Your credit score is not going to be as good as the guy who's usually only using about $1,000 of that $5,000 credit card. And having 2 to 3 cards in the mix is also good. I call it the debit card generation. Like, they fall in love with the debit card, and debit card doesn't build anything for credit. Right. You got the money in your checking account, but you're not getting that swipe to show that, hey, I could borrow money and pay it off.
Responsible.
And that's where a lot of times we see a lot of people make that trouble. So get some credit cards out there. Yeah, not Target and Walmart and all those cards and all that
don't
stuff.
count.
The mall credit cards, which my wife is probably very guilty of that. We probably got a slew of them. So don't do as my wife does.
So like a Chase or
good vanilla,
Mastercard Bank.
Yeah, MasterCard, Visa, and go into your local bank to get their credit card, which is always, I think, a good recommendation.
Right. And it's very important to know I believe it's called the loan to debt ratio.
Yeah.
Right? Talk a little bit about that. Why is that important?
Yeah, so that's what's the basis of getting you approved. So that debt to income ratio is, and again, in the grand scheme of things, we're taking your gross income. Think about it. We're taking your gross income and then
Not your net.
No. And then your monthly obligations. So your principal and interest on your mortgage, your property taxes, your homeowner's insurance, if there's flood insurance, and your car payments, and then any revolving debt, and just the minimum payments. So you can have a $5,000 credit card balance, and the minimum payment's only $150. That's what we're calculating in that ratio. So usually we're going to qualify you for more than what you want to spend in reality, right? So when I say, you're good to go, and then people say, what's your max number? In reality, a lot of times that number is higher than what these people want to spend, because we're only taking into account the things I just outlined,
Right.
Not the real, nuts and bolts of living.
So you really corral the couple, if
Yeah.
it's a couple, to what demographic that they can buy in terms of how much on a home, how much they can spend.
Yeah, and in this market, I'm saying, drive till you qualify. So
Yeah.
just get in the road and just keep going. Maybe keep going south or keep going west.
Yeah.
I want to live in Manalapan. I want to live in Marlboro. I'm like, all right, that's great. A lot of people do, but this is not going to work out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right. So, and the trends in the market, talking about the housing prices coming down. The last time they took a dip, was it in '08, between '08 and 2013?
Yeah, right around that time period. Very,
Especially-
very few times.
In Monmouth County, where we currently are, I mean, it's very desirable. So, like John had said earlier, he doesn't see it, and I don't really see it either. Prices coming down anytime soon. To be honest, they seem to keep going up.
Right.
Yeah, I say it's, we came from Staten Island into Manalapan. We came here because it was close to our family, close to our jobs, and 20-something years later, it's the same thing, right? You have Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island. Who the hell wants to live there anymore? You got a lot of people coming fast and furious over the bridge, as they say.
Right.
And you even have people from northern New Jersey, right? So the property taxes in northern New Jersey could be $22,000, where you move to Monmouth County and you could be looking closer to maybe $15,000 for the same house.
Oh, so you're finding they're coming south instead of going north?
Yeah, so the northern New Jersey coming into Monmouth County, Ocean County, just for cheaper taxes and property taxes. And then obviously the people that live here, so that's for that reason alone. It just seems like we're in a special little spot where it's just not the norm. So if you hear on the news, hey, markets are, softening this and softening that, you got to be very specific to the market that you're buying in and talk to your local agents and talk to the people that are seeing it day in and day out to get a real sense of what's going on.
Doesn't seem to apply to Monmouth County.
No.
No.
Like what they're saying on the news or nation average, Monmouth County is unique. I think a real reason why there's not much inventory in Monmouth County is because when people come here, there's a reason why they come here. They love it and they don't want to leave unless they're going down to Florida to fly the coop.
Right, they become empty nesters.
Yeah,
when it's
but
time.
Monmouth County is very desirable, so that's why you don't see too much inventory.
And throwing
popping.
the inventory is a great thing to bring up because the inventory is really what's happening, right? So with the inventory being so low and continuing to be low, most people are still rate locked into their homes. Rate locked meaning, hey, during that right after COVID, anybody that bought a home or took advantage of a refinance, getting rates in the 2s and 3s and low 4s, they can't afford to move out of their home. They can't even figure out a plan. So that family that's stuck in a townhouse now with 2 kids, getting bigger, space is getting cramped, they would love to go buy a single family home, and they're having a hard time figuring it out.
Yeah, giving up that 2 3/4 rate is that's a big pill to swallow.
It sure is. I could never afford to move out of my house now, and I could never afford to buy my house.
Well, that's most of us. I don't
Yeah,
think anybody right now.
yeah.
I mean, it's pretty funny you say that, but most people, if you ask them to try to, hey, buy your house at the market
So, yeah.
value today and the rates where they are today, they'd be living, we were like the rest of us, trying to go down to further south.
Yeah,
Right.
the house poor.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the next move for my family is once my son's out of high school is
Yeah.
South Carolina or North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where all my dad's side of the family. They're all down there.
They've already done it.
My uncle, he lives on a lake with private golf course. He pays, I think, $2,800 in taxes a year.
Oh.
so
Hey, don't make us jealous now. Come on.
Wow. Yeah.
Incredible.
But yeah, that's kind of what happens when people decide they've had enough of the taxes.
Yeah, so for the inventory, we're waiting for people like that to go down to those areas, more people to pass away, and but the evolution of the process, condo, go to the single family home that's your 1,800 to 2,400 square foot home, and then those people want to go to the bigger homes.
Yeah.
And then the bigger homes, they want to downsize.
Right.
We're kind of stuck in this, where nobody can make a move because of the rate locked and the values of the homes. So it's a problem.
So do you find right now everything's at a standstill? Like, are things moving?
So you got to be, for us, I know you got to be hustling because with transactions not as many as they used to be, you got to be hustling 2 and 3 times
Yeah.
faster, right? So we're working harder, networking more with, trying to meet new agents, trying to meet new clients, new business referrals, accountants, attorneys. Anybody can get your hands on to try to find referrals.
Yeah, there's still deals to be had out there. There's still business to be done. But John's right. You're working harder to basically produce the same you were, over the last, I guess, 2 years. COVID was an anomaly. Like, you would just wake up and there was deals in your inbox just all day, every day. It was kind of nuts. And I don't see that coming back anytime soon. If the rates drop down to low 5s, high 4s right now, we'd probably have another crazy
Another
boom,
market,
and I think more people would be willing to sell, right? Because they'd be okay with getting out of their 3% to go to maybe 5. They can justify that, whereas justifying it at 7% is very difficult. And then people would be refining. So yeah, if rates went down, we'd have another boom. But as it is right now, you just got to work harder and work smarter too.
Right.
So there's definitely deals being done, businesses getting done. It's just you got to.
Well, the good people are busy, like us.
Right.
You know,
You got to go find it.
If you're
you
new
know?
in this business, you're probably struggling right now for sure.
Right. Well,
So,
well, and
we
that's
got
a
a lot
good
of
point
years
to
of
make.
experience.
You guys are the good guys. That's why you're on this couch today,
Yeah,
right?
thanks.
Because of what you guys do outside of your business and how you support charities like mine, and not only mine, right? I went to a golf outing the other day, and there you were. Derek Kelly Title Insurance was everywhere, which was great to see because you're a good guy. And just as a reminder, how can people get in touch with you?
I would love to give out my cell phone, but I'm not going to do that. Best is our website, www.kellytitlegroup.com, or my email address, which is derek@kellytitlegroup.com. Both pretty easy. And we also have Instagram, social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that stuff too. If you just search Kelly Title Group, you could find us.
Awesome. And John, from Absolute Home Mortgage, tell people how they can get in touch with you.
Well, stop in Red Bank in our office. We got a great spot right there on 70 White Street in Red Bank.
It's a good hangout spot. I feel like a lot of people just pop in and say
Yeah,
hi.
it is a good spot.
Yeah.
It is a very good, central to a lot of good places in Red Bank. Instagram. So, being the elder statesman on the team now, they've pushed me to get a lot more involved on the social media front. So ABC with John is a great spot to see us integrate our, as they say, our family lives, our personal, anything personal, business. We have a lot of fun. I'm giving out pizzas now to people buying closings now. So
pizzas.
buy a house, get a pizza, and so which has been really fun. I mean, we get a chance to meet business owners, give them a spotlight on social media, and then showing up to a closing with a pie. Honestly,
Who doesn't like pizza?
I mean, that's what it's really been happening because I was starving one day trying to go to a closing, rushing to get a closing. I'm like, I'm gonna pick up a friggin' pie because I'm starving right now. I walk in, you would have thought I brought liquid gold into this because these people were stressed to the nines between buying the house that day, doing a final walkthrough, going to the bank to get the biggest check of their lives that they're ever gonna get. They didn't eat anything, so I walk in around 1:30. And they were the happiest people in the world.
That's great.
Because not only did they give them a great rate, they got a great pie. And I almost felt like an idea was born at that moment. I said, you know what? Enough of this. I'm going to start bringing some pizzas to these closings. And ever since then, over a year of doing this, we're putting on the pounds. But yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
And I got a pizza cutter from you,
And the
which is
pizza
great.
cutter, right? Well, this is, you got to create a brand.
That's
so
it.
this is the brand.
Brilliant marketing.
Oh,
I
man.
love it.
One
It's great.
pizza, one closing. One closing, one pizza. You got to constantly get that out there.
There's no, what's the word there? Any concerns with marketing with the other guy who does that? I don't want to say his name.
Yeah, no, we're out there doing our good stuff out there.
There you go. That's
yeah,
it.
We're
God
doing
bless.
a lot of fun.
You should bring him a pizza when he buys a house.
Exactly.
You need to sell him a house.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd
Yeah.
be great.
There's one of the guys in that group was buying a house, and he posted something about it. And I reached out to him. I said, "Hey, I do title insurance. I'll buy you a pizza. I'll do whatever if you want to use us for title insurance. I see that you're buying out in PA." And he actually got back to me, and he did ask what our rates was, and I just said, "Hey, that's state regulated.
Right.
I can't just give you free title insurance, but I'm happy to promote you and do whatever we have to do." And then I didn't hear back from him, but
That's
it was
great.
kind of cool. He got back to me. Yeah.
What is the craziest story on a deal that you guys have come across?
It's a good question.
You got one off the top of your head?
Well, I mean, I always say a lot of times we continue to just add people onto loans sometimes. So,
Yeah.
a lot of people are, and again, we talked about that affordability. I mean, I don't know if it's crazy, but we've added, I've had 5 people on a deal, grandparents, parents, and the kids
Those
on
are
a
always
deal.
fun to go sign and close.
And so-
you got like a party going on.
I call it the clown car loan. Let's just keep piling people in, and the more people, let's keep going. And and next thing you know, we got 5 people on a loan application buying a home. But that's, I think, some of the extremes and extent that people are going to try to do to get a home.
Yeah.
And so, but we've seen, I think one of the actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it was a refinance. No, I apologize. It was, a lot of times I'll go over the credit report with people on the phone. We'll always go over the credit report. And so this was a young couple that was just engaged. And so I run the credit, and the guy's got a crappy score. And I always hate, because I don't know if they know or not, like how bad it is.
Yeah.
And so I always say, I'm going to go over the credit report now. The guy had like a 615 maybe, but he had a ton of debt. And the soon-to-be wife did not know about it.
Ooh.
So now I just start hearing
Good
a
dinner
lot of,
conversation.
you could almost cut the tension with a knife. It was just so uncomfortable on that phone conversation. And he couldn't be on the loan, which I was surprised because even though he wasn't on the loan in the end, she still bought the house. We qualified the loan under her name by the skin of her teeth. But this poor girl did the whole deal by herself. And I said, all right, well, I've been known to cause an argument or two. And now I always say, and since then, all these years later, I still say to people, is it all right if I review credit with both of you? Now, obviously, if someone still says no, there's still going to be an argument had.
Yeah.
But
At least you did your job, your due diligence.
Right.
yeah, this was. And there was actually one time I had somebody in my office where I did the same thing, credit report in front of me, 2 women in front of me, and they hated credit card debt. And they told me that from the beginning. They were like all about this. They didn't want me to run the credit. They didn't want me to do anything. But they were buying the house. We had to go through it. So we run the credit, and I said, there's this, your score's a little bit low because you have a credit card maxed out. So the other woman looks at her and goes, what did you do? And I'm like, oh boy, here it goes. She's like, how much is it? I'm like, $5,000. She takes her pocketbook and whacks this lady so hard in the arm. Now I'm like, and they start yelling and fighting right in front of me right now. So I said, look, I'm going to step aside. And
You have to excuse yourself out of the room.
it
at
was
that
very
point, right?
uncomfortable. And you know what? In the end, it was very sweet because she threw her a surprise birthday party. And she's like, it's because of the party. And that's why the charge.
Gotcha.
Right.
And it was nice to see the reason, but again, it was very uncomfortable when you start seeing people beat each other.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. The very first closing I ever did, I forgot about this. The guy showed up to the closing with a bag of cash. I forgot.
No way.
It wasn't the whole cash to close that he needed to bring, but I think he had like $38,000 in cash.
In a
It was like-
briefcase?
It was like a black duffel bag, yeah. And I was like,
Unbelievable.
I was like, this is my first closing. I don't even know if we're allowed to take this or not. And
Right.
I called the owner of the company at the time, and he said, yeah. I said, well, you trust me not to take this down to Atlantic City? And I did. I brought it back to the office.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an interesting closing.
All right, so I'm sitting here and I'm listening to this, right? So again, we're going to assume there's first-time home buyers on here listening. So share with me how you got into title and what is title? Because you're saying you were at a closing and a bag of cash came, and I'm in my head going, the realtor, the attorney and the realtor do the closing. I don't know if I've ever seen a title guy at a table.
So I'll start with how I got into it, and then I'll go into a little bit about
Is my
what it
research
is.
right? 2015?
Yeah. So this is it's almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years at the end of this year.
And I love your story.
Yeah.
I did a little homework. I always do.
Look at you.
Right? So, but I will let you share it, but I'd love the way you got started.
Sure. So I was in a completely different space. I was working for a government contractor, and I started there as an intern really while I was in high school. I was coaching the guy's son at a CBA basketball camp, and he was actually lived across the street from us growing up. And he was friends with my father, and I was coaching this kid. He came up to me and said, hey, would you like to work in the office as an intern? And I said, absolutely. Because at the time, I think I was bussing tables and delivering pies over at the Mad Hatter in Seabright. And this guy was offering close to $18 an hour back, 15 years ago. So it was pretty good for, intern money. Did that for 10 years, worked in different departments of that company. And then one day I just woke up and said, I just don't want to sit behind a desk anymore for 9 hours. I wanted to go out and sell. I wasn't really sure what. And somehow I ended up selling Verizon Fios door to door in the Brooklyn, Coney Island area.
Wow.
Which was not my best decision looking back at it.
Talk about cutting your teeth in sales.
Yeah, I almost got attacked twice with one guy with a knife. one crazy lady just chased me off her doorstep. It was an interesting period of my life. I think I only lasted 8 months, maybe 6 months, somewhere in that, time frame. And then I just applied for a title insurance sales job. I didn't know what title insurance was. I had never bought a house. So I was Googling the definition of title insurance and reading it as I'm driving to the interview. Just trying to get it through my head in case, he asked me, what's title insurance? And obviously he didn't. But for some reason I thought I needed to know what it was. And to be honest, I didn't. And he even said it to me. He said, we got along. We hit it off during the interview. He said, I'd love to have you. I said, well, there's one problem. I don't know what title insurance is. And he said, you don't have to. Don't worry about it. Just go out there, create relationships, get in front of people, get them to like you. Mm-hmm. And then, I'll do the title insurance stuff. Like, let me worry about the actual title insurance side of it. Just go. Go sell.
So
right?
he liked that you're a good-looking guy with a personality.
I was,
he could talk.
In my early 20s, I was single, right? So I was able to go out and do the networking stuff without, nowadays with 2 kids and a wife, it's hard to be out more than one night a week because, number one, you're just tired. Your early 20s, you just go. But now I'm tired of responsibilities. It's much more difficult to do the networking side of it. But then 10, 12 years ago, I was running all over the place, just loving it. I actually was enjoying it because I like going out. Right. I'm very social.
I saw that thing that said 50 is the new 40, 40 is the new 30.
Yeah.
But for some reason, 9 p.m. is the new midnight.
True. Yeah. Like I told you last night, I went out. I was home by 9:30. I was exhausted today.
Yeah.
15 years ago, 2 a.m, no problem. Just get up and do it again. But yeah, times have changed a little bit.
It's a good thing you didn't grow up in Staten Island because you'd be out to 4 in the morning and have to get up at 7.
Yeah, right.
That's what we did.
Yeah. But and then the book just kind of builds. It got bigger and bigger and made more relationships, and you kind of spider off from one relationship to another. And then somehow, not really sure how I decided to get into starting my own company, but here we are.
Right, and that's the part that I loved about the fact that you took a chance.
Yeah.
Right, and I don't know if you
never thought I would. It's not that I had no intentions really. It just kind of evolved and happened. I try to, I saw how certain salespeople and other people were being treated in other companies, and I felt bad for them. I felt like I could do them, do better for them, and it just, I couldn't say no. And it just evolved. But I had no intentions on ever running my own title company just because I enjoyed the sales aspect of it so much.
But that's why you're successful the way you are. What I found, and I've heard you speak of, is when you started Kelly Title Insurance, you borrowed money from your mom.
Oh, yeah.
To do some networking events.
Yeah, that was really what I actually first got into title. Yeah, so I just had a group. We called the Kelly Title Group, and there was just a couple salespeople underneath me that I just figured I could take underneath my wing and try to help them grow their book as doing what I did. And what I had done back then, I had created a list of every lender, attorney, and realtor in every area throughout New Jersey. And back then I used MapQuest, right, because there was no
there's no phones.
Yeah, and I used
You're dating
that
yourself now.
and I mapped it out so that it would be the most efficient route to hit between 30 and 50 a day. And I started going to every single office, bringing them stuff, and then when the CFPB came out and changed the rules and regulations, we were doing a CE class, course on what was coming down the pike. So I went and I delivered them all this paper, inviting them to this CE course.
Wow.
I think I dropped off like 1,500 invitations, and I think 12 people showed up. And I'm like, I got to be doing something wrong to, that's not a good return on your money, on your investment, so to speak. So then I borrowed some money from my mother, and I said, I'm going to go do the same exact routes, see the same people, but I'm going to invite them to a happy hour, a networking happy hour, and offer free food and booze. Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy crap. Now they all came, you know, because
If you feed them
you
and-
feed them and,
and-
you
and-
give them free booze.
They will come.
All of a sudden, everybody starts coming out of the woodworks, and that's kind of how I got started building just a network. And then, you know, I met Anthony Muscarella, who runs the branch for the John's at. And then I said, hey, can you introduce me to some people? And then you meet them. You say, hey, can you guys introduce me to some people? And you kind of it just spidered out. But that's how I really got started.
That's great. The
Brought a few
grind.
bucks from good old Peggy Kelly, and you know, was on my way.
That's wonderful. So
Yeah.
now share what title insurance is.
So title insurance, you know, it basically protects you from, it gives you a peace of mind, really, when you're buying a house. It protects you from any past liens, judgments, any defects in the chain of title that might be there from previous owners. Most common one that we see are, tax liens, because the tax lien sticks with that property, not the person. So if the person sells the house and they miss, they owed back taxes or, taxes on the property, and it's sold without being caught, that tax lien is still
Part of the property.
property.
And it goes to the new owner.
Yeah, the new owners, technically, yeah. So if a title company misses it, then they could be held responsible for it. But if you have title insurance, then you're protected from it.
Right.
And, there's other things that happened that, we had somebody buy a house that the sellers never got permits for the deck, right? And they got caught. They had to tear down the deck, and they had to pay for that to be torn down because there weren't permits for it.
Right.
Even though they didn't build the deck without the permits, the previous owners did. And if they would have had an enhanced or an Eagle title policy, that would have covered it. So there's, there's not a ton of claims in the title world, but some of them can be, you could lose your entire house. So it's a one-time fee at closing. It's relatively small compared to the purchase price. So it's peace of mind.
Right.
I think
And it's
you'd
peace
be
of
a
mind for
fool.
the life of in which you own the
Correct.
home.
Correct. And there's two
Because
policies,
that's
right?
important.
There's one that
I didn't
protects,
learn that till just now.
Oh, yeah. And there's one that protects you and protects the lender. There's a lender's policy and an owner's policy. The lender's policy protects the lender, owner's policy protects you. And if you're getting a loan on the property, you have to get the lender's policy or else they won't lend you the money. And then the owner's policy technically is optional, but most attorneys won't close you if you don't get it.
Right.
And if you're, getting a loan, then most
How about on
banks-
cash deals? Cash deals, everybody's getting it too?
Everybody still gets, it is so rare that somebody on a cash deal does not get title insurance because they're being advised by the attorney, by realtors. You'd be a fool not to.
Right.
You know,
And in this
so-
day and age, someone can walk in with $200,000-$300,000 worth of cash.
Okay, you mean bring cash to
Yeah.
I haven't had that happen or come up anytime soon, but this my first closing. That was almost 10 years ago, and somebody brought cash, and the owner of the company accepted it. Today, I mean, I've been asked, to close with cryptocurrency, but cash, not since that first time 10 years ago.
I'm rewatching The Sopranos, so I could possibly see maybe Tony coming in with
Yeah,
the
right.
cash.
Right,
Which is
yeah.
great. I'm
Yeah.
You heard the stories years ago
Yeah.
where they would offer us, if it used to use $1 million, if someone's selling a home for $1 million, I'll give you $2.25. Can you lower the sale price of the house by $2.25? Right? I mean, you can't do that these days.
I don't see that stuff happening.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty tight now with the regulations, and it's. What are you gonna do with somebody walks into the closing with $1 million cash? Like,
Yeah.
Right? What are you going
what
to
am I
do?
supposed to do with this? Go bring it to my bank? They're gonna think I'm
Right.
you know,
And
doing
you
something
got to
illegal.
register it, right? You got to let the bank know where you got it from anyway.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Yeah, I honestly haven't had it happen in 10 years, so I don't see it ever happening.
Right.
Yeah.
And in your experience, have you had where someone was not Kelly Title Insurance, they didn't do a good job, and then it held up the close because something came up on title insurance?
Yeah. If it's not reviewed properly and things do pop up, and see, when things do pop up, no one's working on getting it cleared up. And that's where an issue also could be a lie. Well, you should be working with the attorney and the client to clear this up. We're waiting as the lender to get clear title. We don't have clear title, so we can't close.
Right.
So a lot of these companies, things will fall by the wayside. So that's where the biggest issue that we've had, and that's why you want to work with someone that's reliable, like Derek and his team, so that there's no issues like that. Because things will pop up, But again, how are we getting it cleared up to get to the closing table is a big question. So you need them to kind of quarterback at that point with the attorney to start getting the client on the phone to clear these issues up.
And sometimes you're at the mercy of other people involved in the transaction. That's why it's great when you have your team, right? The attorney, the lender, the title that you typically work with, because you know who to call. You all have good communication skills, and you can get those things cleared up much quicker than, if you have never heard of the attorney, you've never heard of the lender, if it's a 1-800 number, you can't get somebody on the phone. It's very difficult and time-consuming to get those things cleared up. So John earlier in the podcast had said, it's great to have a team in place, and that's I couldn't agree anymore. It's
needs
it's vital.
a better process for the client, because anytime I'm on the deal where I got referred, where now I know nobody in the transaction, I feel like I'm working 3 times. I'm acting almost like I'm trying to maybe step on the attorney's toes because I'm trying to I don't know if the attorney's going to say these things. I'm almost trying to do the title company's job because I want to get them prepared for the title insurance. So it's usually works a lot smoother, and then when you get the lender from, online, he's not doing all the things and prepping the people for the local market to be prepared for things in this area.
Right.
But, and you only get to do this once, 2, maybe 3 times, right? And most people are, going to buy 2 or 3 homes in their lifetime, right? So,
Well, they say the average homeowner holds on to a home nowadays, statistically, 1 every 7 years.
yeah, that's still true to this day, probably, that number, yeah.
Yeah, and a true story, right? I had an experience moving into my home. The title wasn't clean. The people we were buying the home from moved out of state, so the house sat empty. My attorney was like, you do not want to either rent from them, you don't want to be pushed to close, just sit it out. Meanwhile, I sold my house. I had to get out of my house in 30 days, right? Lo and behold, it took 4 months, so I had to go rent something in Manalapan. While I live in Manalapan, it was a disaster. I had to put stuff in storage, and it took 4 months to clear up. But thank God, everything at the end of the day got cleared up. But you got to have a good team around you. You're right.
It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, like mistakes are going to happen. Things are going to pop up. It's just, nobody's perfect. That's the way the world is.
Right.
But knowing who you can call to clear up the mistakes or clear up the judgments, I think it's vital because it just makes your life so much easier.
And a smooth closing, we could have did everything perfectly along the way, and then if there's an issue at that closing, right, that just leaves a bad taste in the buyer's mouth for everybody, right? Because we're in a big referral-based business. You're not going to find, even though we have a great office in Red Bank, it's still a majority of word of mouth, right? So leaving that lasting impression of even a smooth closing, right? Getting that text from the client, hey, closing was great, quick, easy, and simple, is what you want to hear, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to hear, hey, we sat there for hours, or we had to leave. We couldn't even close, right?
Right.
I mean,
the moving truck is in the driveway. And you can't open up the doors and start unloading the truck.
And that's why you got to be on your game, because you don't mess with people's livelihoods, right?
Yeah.
So and this is why we take it important even from that very first time before we let you go out there and look at that home. Make sure you're good to go. Make sure there's full transparency. You know your numbers, so that there aren't these, oh crap,
Surprise.
Wow.
Surprise.
And,
Absolutely.
which we try to do. We try to give everybody all the great information up front,
Right.
well inform them for what they're about to face.
So if you guys are listening to this show, if you catch anything today, one, it's called Kelly Title Insurance and John Marinaro for your mortgage, because they keep talking about a team. So this is your team. It's coming together, right? And I'm sure you guys work with realtors and attorneys that complement what you guys do as well, right?
Yeah, everybody, not all the time, but quite often, do you have a list of attorneys? Do you have a list of lenders? Do you have a list of realtors? There's, our core group that we work with frequently, but, that list could be, there's probably 50 to 100 attorneys that we work with. We have to work with multiple lenders, with all the realtors, we try to both work well with. So, if you ever need recommendations for insurances, a plumber, shout out D. Kelly Plumbing, my brother, electricians, we have to have a good referral network for all those types of people, because, again, it makes the client's experience better if we're able to say they're coming from out of state, they don't know anybody. They ask John or myself, hey, can you refer us this, and that? You need to have good people. They're part of your team too. So I'm sure John has a list of people he refers out, just like we do.
Always.
Yeah,
Always
that's
ready to
never an
go.
issue, really.
So at Kelly Title, your team, how deep are you guys within the agency?
So right now we have, you mean like how big are we staff-wise?
Yeah.
I think we're at 12 salespeople and 13 back office people.
Oh, so you got a great support system.
Yeah, and listen, we were just transitioning recently from a different company that was, I was underneath their umbrella, so to speak. They were doing all of our back end work, so we're still growing. We finally just got into our forever office this week, so that was a big step.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And we have another person, a big person, starting next week, July 1st. So we were in transition mode, which obviously is difficult for any company.
Growth is always difficult,
yeah.
but exciting.
But yeah, it's exciting. I love the direction we're headed in. I think next week that employee starting is a huge, center rock piece for us. So yeah, it's exciting. To grow, but we're probably hitting pause on the hiring process after next week. You don't want to get too big too quick. So I'd say we're like a small to mid-sized medium company. But we do have a good staff.
25 people, that's good.
Yeah.
Nice. John, how big is Absolute Mortgage behind you?
Absolute Home Mortgage, we have about 300 loan offices, I think. We're in 32 different states, offices, I believe, in 5 different states. We do a lot within the Muscarella lending team, as far as we have a staff of loan assistants, processors, file openers, and then the loan officers, right? And then, and then we have our corporate, which is in Fairfield, New Jersey, that takes care of our underwriting and closing. And we work very closely with them throughout. So everything's done in-house for the most part. Most of our loans are done in-house. And it's a good staff. Our little world of the Muscarella lending team, great people working there. I love working with these guys. We have a lot of times, they like busting my chops a lot, which I'm an easy target. Sometimes I give them good content and material, but that gives that good camaraderie within the team. So technically we're all on our own little island, working as far as trying to close business, but knowing that we're there for each other in those peaks and valleys, like, hey, we're going through some crap right now, kind of lift each other up. Applaud on the there to cheer each other on for the good moments. That's what we have, right? So it's a stressful job, stressful business, and I think having that where you could bounce idea and tell, hey, look, a lot of people relating to you. So it's a big part of what I think people don't realize that may work at another bank that doesn't have that family connection, I think. So it's good.
Great. I think one of the takeaways is that if anybody's watching and needs their services, if you can't get on the phone that afternoon, there's someone else there that can.
While I'm here right now, I got an assistant helping me out with an application. I have someone else working on submitting a loan for me. We couldn't be doing these types of great opportunities where you give us the platform to showcase our business, the networking things that we do, even during the day or at night. You need a village, as I say. It takes a village to do anything in this market.
That's great, and that helps keep things moving along to get the close nice and smooth.
Yeah,
Right, so that's what it's all about.
No stress. That's it. We know people that are there to take care of it.
Yeah, the
which is
biggest
nice.
complaint in anything in this business, I feel like, is bad communication. Right, so someone has to be available.
Right.
I see realtors and attorneys and lenders answering their phone, 9 o'clock at night, which, people, if you're a doctor or a nurse, right, and you're working weird hours, but you're trying to buy a house, 9 o'clock at night might be the only time you're available to speak. So it's, I'm not, Title doesn't get it as bad, with the late phone calls and all the sorts of weird hours. But I see these guys get it pretty bad. So he's always on. He always got to be on.
Doctor's hours without doctor's pay. But that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, so one of the craziest things I hear all the time coming from the mortgage guys is don't buy anything within 30 or 60 days of a close, right? A big purchase, like your car or furniture for the house, right? Yeah. And what's the reason for that?
Well, a big thing is anytime you have your credit checked, right? If you're going to do some of those things, you're going to have your credit checked. And we're going to find out about 10 days before closing if you had anything that you did anything, right? So they want to know, did you rack up some credit card debt? Did you open up new accounts? And not that it make you get denied a loan, it just may make it more frustrating because now you got to chase down the car company, get all the paperwork, call up the credit card company. You didn't even get the credit card statement in the mail yet, but yet, we're asking you to document it. So it's all about documentation, crossing T's, dotting I's, The days of just letting it go, not paying attention to things, everything's getting caught, reviewed. So you really don't want to cause any waves in that.
Any disruption, right?
And everything is, 3-day delivery days. You could go to, any one of these stores probably and get your furniture and appliances within 3 days anyway. So I say just chill out and, or just use your cash on hand, right? Because if you have enough money, do that. Call up mom and dad.
You're not using what's the nest egg for the down
right,
payment.
yeah, don't do that either. Right. Which, look, you'd be surprised what you have to explain to people and tell people, right? Can you imagine that? I mean,
when I used to do, because I used to show up and do the closings, for years, and you see a lot of
Crazy stuff.
a lot of things like that's just common sense, you would think, but
well, again, you got to realize we do this every day.
Yeah.
And what I said was they do it once, twice, so they may get distracted. They may not realize, even just the movement of money. They have 5 different accounts, and they're moving money. There's transfers going all over the place. We got to follow that money. We got to know where it's coming from.
Right.
And so, again, leading into pulling people's hair out, saying this guy's a pain in the ass because he's asking for 5 different things, but in reality, it's because we have to follow the money. So the more preparation you do in that beginning and telling everybody, don't move your money, don't open up those accounts. But these are all those things where I try to treat everybody like a first-time home buyer, because who remembers? You lease a car every 3 years, you don't remember the process. You go and buy a house once every 7, 8 years, 10 years, 20 years. Never did it before. Nobody, they don't know. They don't remember.
Right.
My dad was not the biggest person of words and inspiration, but when he got into this, when I told him I was getting into this business 20 years ago, he's like, look, me and your mother know nothing about nothing. Don't screw people over and explain things to people.
Yeah.
Right.
And because, again, you can't assume anything. And that's why I try to treat everybody like that first-time home buyer, just to give them that sense of comfort. So I did want to bring up one thing about just sitting in this space right now with you, which, again, from when I first met you 10 years ago, give or take, to see where you are today in, getting the word out for Jar of Hope is...
You're going to get me all choked up.
Well, I have to here for a minute because it's monumental.
Yeah.
It really is monumental. And from the time I met you, you knew you were a special person, special family. And just, it was the campaign that he did for push-ups.
Okay.
So he was doing $10, right? I brought you to our B&I group. And you just came really into our world. And I said, I got to get this guy in. So I bring him into our B&I group. We all do the push-ups. And I was the happiest person that day because I felt like we helped you out immensely.
You did.
I think we raised about $160 that day.
Hey, every dollar helps, right? Every dollar
and I
counts.
felt like we did something. And back then, that was big for you because you were just starting out.
Absolutely.
And to see where you've taken it these days and climbing Mount Everest and walking in deserts and just doing anything you can to help these kids is just, if you don't get involved and help this cause, I don't know, you must have some cold in your heart because, have a little green in your heart now because you have to help out this cause for this family, for all the children, right?
Yes,
for all the children.
It's inspired by Jamesy, but it's for all the children.
Yeah, and I'm just glad that we're still talking these days and getting the opportunity to talk about it and giving us this opportunity. But again, it's all for you guys and everybody that you're part of. Marathons, everything. It's just amazing what you've done.
Thank you. And I appreciate the support over the years, and that's why I'm giving you guys this opportunity. I'll never forget this. Even when it came down to the half marathon on Route 9 that got canceled, I refused not to run. And as I'm going into Manalapan, standing on the corner of my block, I'll never forget that.
Yeah, well, look, it was great to see you guys coming down. I'm like, look at this guy, traffic whizzing by in them, and they're walking with the flag, running with the flag, and and a lot of people show up in the gas station clapping for you guys as you walk by, and the
Dr. Siri,
the people love you. They love you. They love your family.
Well, thank you. It's not about me here, John. This is about you guys today. All right.
Again, thank you again for that.
Got to throw in the Jar of Hope plug a little bit, right? At least because I remember when I met you, It was later. It was probably 5 years ago. When was the first time we was at 618?
Yeah.
Mike Sclafani was doing an event.
The wine tasting.
My son had just been born.
Wow.
Because I do remember that because you were talking about your son Jamesy and the reason of why Jar of Hope is, and I remember grabbing my wife's hand and starting to choke up and cry because, you had said, I think you didn't know about the condition until he was 2 or 3. So now, as a new father, I'm freaking out now. I'm crying. I'm like, cut him a check. Like, we got to help because that could be our boy. And to watch you, a will of a father and a love, of a father for their child, I've never seen it more exemplified than anybody than you. So, it's very touching, and I wish we could do more, but it's just such a great cause to get behind, especially at the time as a new father, because you don't know real love, I think, until you have a child. You can love somebody, you can love yourself, but your love for a child is kind of above and beyond for me anyway. And hearing your circle just made me break down and want to help. So I'm happy we're able to help you, and I appreciate you giving back to help us. Circle of life, circle of business, circle of life.
That's what it's all about.
And we appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, sincerely. And I think something that helps bring more of a kinship is that your wife went to my alma mater, St. Joseph by the Sea in Staten Island.
Oh, yes, Staten Island.
which was touching to me, and it's great to see her very successful as well. But, this Facebook, it's got its pros and it's definitely got its cons. But one of the good things is, been speaking with you and about your son, as watching you two, peering into your life a little bit. It's a beautiful thing. You're a great father.
Appreciate it.
I love watching everything that you guys do together, and you can see the joy he brings out in you.
Yeah.
So
it's a fun journey. I never thought I'd have children. Well, at least for a long time I didn't, especially in my early 20s. So to have them is a blessing, and it's a good ride.
it's the best.
Yeah.
The Hope Show. Help other people excel. Inspired by Jamesy, powered by Adapting Social. These two guys, Derek Kelly, John Marinaro, Kelly Title Insurance, Absolute Home Mortgage, and I cannot forget All American Ford. Call these guys for anything. They'll be there to help you out in the home buying environment. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks for the time.
Yeah, man.